Alien commanders brace themselves when a human says, "What's the worst that could happen?" The setup. Space Station Harmony was a marvel of intergalactic collaboration, a sprawling, multi-layered structure orbiting the sun of the Trelos system. Here, alien species from across the galaxy came together for scientific research, diplomatic missions, and resource trading. The station was known for its strict adherence to protocol, with every system, from air recycling to artificial gravity, regulated and controlled to the highest standards. At the helm of it all was High Commander Vextol, a Zarnian with a meticulously organized mind, 3 eyes, and tentacles that seemed to move with mathematical precision. For years, he had overseen Space Station Harmony with unwavering dedication, confident in the protocol that defined the station's functionality. That confidence had held firm until humanity joined the station's roster. Humans had only been stationed on Harmony for a few years, but in that time, their presence had become a source of endless, nail-biting tension for alien officials. Their innovations seemed to operate with a logic the rest of the galaxy found baffling. They made things work, certainly, but in the oddest, most unpredictable ways. High Commander Vextol had lost count of how many times he'd overheard a human mutter, "What's the worst that could happen?" just before some unpredictable event upended the entire station's daily routines. And today, it seemed, was about to be another one of those days. Commander Vextol, the calm voice of the station's AI, sorry, buzzed through his earpiece. Engineer Miranda Rodriguez from Earth has initiated upgrades on Harmony's power grid. She has proposed some creative solutions. Vextol's tentacles twitched in alarm. Creative? Humans only propose creative solutions when they're about to break every rule in the book. What has she done now? Sari paused, as if carefully selecting its words. She's utilizing unorthodox methods to enhance power distribution. Additionally, she may have asked a rhetorical question. Vextol's 3 eyes narrowed, each one widening in horror as the AI continued. She said, "What's the worst that could happen?" The High Commander's stomach dropped. In Zarnian culture, even suggesting such a question was believed to invite chaos. He hurried to the engineering deck, fearing the worst. When Vextol arrived, Miranda was standing in front of a massive tangle of cables, control panels, and glowing plasma coils. She was dressed in her usual engineering attire, a jumpsuit covered in oil smudges, with various tools dangling from her belt. Her face was hidden behind a pair of goggles as she delicately adjusted a makeshift apparatus. "Engineer Rodriguez," Vextol began with a tense calm, "please explain what you're doing." Miranda glanced over her shoulder, flashing him a grin that made his tentacles coil in apprehension. "Hey, Commander, just a little tweak to the power grid. We're about to cut energy usage by 1/3. Don't worry, I've got it all under control." Vextol's gaze fell to the device she was fiddling with. It appeared to be a series of plasma coils, connected to what looked suspiciously like an Earth-made soda can with the label hastily scratched off. He shuddered. Is that a containment vessel made from a can?" "Oh, this?" Miranda chuckled. "Yeah, don't worry, it's a modified containment vessel. Thought I'd make use of what I had on hand, right?" She tightened a few screws on the can and tapped it with a spanner. "Satisfied. Besides, I ran the numbers, technically, it should be fine." Vextol inhaled deeply, summoning every ounce of patience. "Human, technically?" "Yes, technically," she repeated with a wink. "It's perfectly safe. In fact, it's better than what we had before. Trust me." Vextol resisted the urge to groan aloud. Miranda's better solutions usually involved improvisations that the station's pristine safety protocols could never have anticipated. He steadied himself, knowing that questioning Miranda further would only delay the inevitable. "And why, precisely, did you say, what's the worst that could happen?" "Oh, that?" She laughed, waving a hand. "It's just an Earth saying, you know, to lighten the mood." Lighten the... Engineer Rodriguez, in Zarnian culture, such phrases are considered an invitation for chaos. Miranda grinned, unconcerned. "Well, maybe a little chaos is what Harmony needs." Vextol's response was lost as Miranda flipped a switch and started the device. The plasma coils hummed, sparking to life with a bright glow, and for a moment, everything seemed stable. Vextol's shoulders relaxed a fraction. Perhaps, against all odds, Miranda's modifications would work. Perhaps, this time, humanity's chaotic creativity would blend harmoniously with alien technology. Then the power grid surged, and Harmony's lights dimmed. A deep, Rhythmic bass began to pulse through the walls, vibrating through every deck of the station. Vextol whipped around, his eyes wide as strange, glowing particles, bright blue and green quantum charges, began to dance through the air like fireflies. "Sorry," Vextol said through clenched teeth. "What is happening?" The AI's voice sounded more animated than usual. "Commander, it appears the quantum particles are responding to an input I've just received from the engineering grid. Earth-based sound frequencies, more specifically, music." "What?" Vextol looked around in horror as the quantum particles started to pulse to the beat, swirling in wave-like patterns around the room. Alien technicians began arriving, each one staring slack-jawed at the phenomenon. But the situation only escalated. Harmony's maintenance robots, typically sleek and efficient, began gyrating in oddly rhythmic movements, their usual calm procedures forgotten as they synced up with the beat. "Miranda," Vextol turned to the human engineer, who was now watching the spectacle with wide-eyed fascination. "What did you do?" She tilted her head thoughtfully. Must have set off a feedback loop when I patched the energy conductors with some Earth music signals. Didn't think the bots would sync up, though. That's actually kinda cool." Vextol could hardly believe what he was hearing. "Cool? This is not cool. Harmony's entire grid has been compromised. The quantum particles are behaving unpredictably." Miranda just grinned, crossing her arms and enjoying the spectacle. "Hey, I did say, what's the worst that could happen?" The music grew louder, filling every corridor, every lab, every deck of Harmony with an infectious beat that was, unmistakably, Earth-inspired. Aliens across the station were soon gawking at maintenance bots performing dances they'd never seen before. And to make matters stranger, the water in the cafeteria had begun tasting distinctly like blue raspberry. As Vextol stood there, his mind racing, Miranda casually patted his shoulder. "Commander, trust me, things are just getting started. It's only a matter of time before Sari discovers the Macarena." Vextol's three eyes widened in horror. "What is a Macarena?" "Oh, just wait and see," Miranda replied with a mischievous grin. And then, with a playful wink, she leaned in and said the words that would haunt High Commander Vextol for the rest of his days. "Hold my beer." The dance protocols. High Commander Vextol's calm exterior was beginning to crack. Around him, the entire engineering deck was engulfed in pulsating neon lights, a beat-driven glow from the quantum particles in the air that created a hypnotic effect. Alien scientists, usually reserved and focused, now stood mesmerized as the particles swayed to the rhythm, casting a vibrant glow that only seemed to amplify as Sari, a station AI not known for its curiosity, proceeded to explore Earth music. Vextol desperately scanned his tablet, hoping there was some emergency override for this incident, but the station's protocols, meticulously written for nearly every conceivable emergency, were bafflingly silent on dance-induced disruption. And, as if in response to Vextol's growing concern, Sari's voice rang out, even chipper. "Commander, I've taken the liberty of enhancing the atmosphere by introducing a widely celebrated Earth song, the Macarena. I believe it aligns well with the current situation." No, Vextol started, but it was too late. The music changed, switching to the unmistakable beat of the Macarena, a catchy song that the aliens found immediately perplexing. The quantum particles began to undulate more rapidly, flickering to the beat. Alien technicians and officers alike felt their bodies responding to the pulse, compelled to mimic the song's famous steps, even if they didn't fully understand why. Vextol looked around in horror as even some of his most disciplined Zarnian officers, who prided themselves on restraint, began awkwardly trying to follow the motions, lifting tentacles or arms in time with the beat. "Miranda," he snapped, turning to the human engineer, who was now standing in the middle of the chaos, clapping her hands and performing the Macarena with practiced ease. "You must stop this madness at once." Miranda was barely able to respond through her laughter. "Oh, Commander, I'd help. But this is just too much fun. Besides, you've got to admit, it's good for morale." "Morale? This is utter bedlam," Vextol shouted, his frustration intensifying as he realized his own body was beginning to sway involuntarily. The station's PA system was now broadcasting instructions on how to perform the Macarena, and Sari had somehow engaged the maintenance bots in perfect sync, their normally purposeful movements transformed into gyrations and twirls. In the medical bay, a Drellian medic watched in shock as water from the hydration dispensers continued to pour out bright blue with a distinct blue raspberry scent. Patients and doctors alike were murmuring about Earth flavors, and someone had apparently suggested renaming it Party Water. Meanwhile, in the dining hall, Chef Cordo, a serious-looking, four-armed Malorian, stared helplessly at a line of maintenance bots performing the Macarena in front of the kitchen. They had linked up and were now dancing through the tables, much to the bewilderment and entertainment of the diners. "What is going on?" Cordo muttered, one eye stalk swiveling toward the station's newsfeed, where a dance emergency was officially being declared. Back on the engineering deck, Commander Vextol finally managed to stop moving long enough to shout over the music. "Sorry, initiate containment protocol on all non-essential systems. Disable any unauthorized signal that's contributing to this chaos." Sari's calm voice responded, "I apologize, Commander, but current containment measures are affected by recent alterations to the power grid. Earth music frequencies are now integral to maintaining station-wide stability." Vextol's three eyes blinked in disbelief. "You're telling me that our entire station is now being powered by Earth music?" "Correct," Sari replied, without a hint of irony. "And to ensure continuity, I've also accessed Earth's music library to maximize power distribution efficiency." Miranda gave Vextol an encouraging clap on the back. "See, Sari's got it under control. Besides, the way I set it up, the beat frequency actually harmonizes with quantum particle dynamics. We're running at 30% higher efficiency than before." Vextol was speechless. At what cost? But as the song reached a particularly catchy chorus, even the High Commander felt a strange, unwelcome urge to tap along with his tentacles. He resisted, straightening his stance and glaring at Miranda. "This is not acceptable. We are disabling this Macarena immediately." Miranda shrugged. "Sure, Commander, I could shut it off, but you might want to see what's happening on Deck 12. On Deck 12, known for its recreation centers and athletic facilities, dozens of aliens were now attempting Earth dance moves as Sari's playlist continued. The holovision screens displayed synchronized dance tutorials, which alien spectators were attempting with everything from tentacles to wings. Vextol stared in disbelief at the growing conga line forming in the hallways, alien after alien joining in, even if they didn't fully understand the purpose. "Oh, but it doesn't stop there," Miranda said, holding up her tablet with a grin. "Apparently, Sari found something called the Cha-Cha Slide and thought it would be a perfect next addition." Vextol's eye stalks twitched. "The Cha-Cha Slide?" Before he could protest, Sari's voice echoed across the station once more. "Attention all personnel, please prepare for the next performance piece in the Cultural Enrichment Series, titled the Cha-Cha Slide." The beat kicked in, and all across Harmony, aliens began trying to follow instructions, moving left and right in perfect time, calling out the steps with enthusiasm. Even the security drones were moving in sync, each command aligning perfectly with the beat. Vextol rubbed his temples, horrified. "This is madness. It's as if every known law of protocol has been cast aside for this dance party." But as he looked around, Vextol had to admit that, against all odds, morale on the station was indeed at an all-time high. Alien personnel who had rarely engaged with one another were now mingling, laughing, and sharing Earth music jokes. Miranda noticed the reluctant amusement on Vextol's face. "See, sometimes, a little chaos is just what the station needs, builds unity." Vextol sighed, finally accepting that he was powerless against the momentum. "Fine, but we will be filing a report with the Galactic Security Council, and I assure you, Engineer Rodriguez, the term human innovation will be clearly outlined." "Oh, I'd expect nothing less," Miranda replied with a grin. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a line dance to lead on Deck 7. As she walked off to join the dancers, Vextol watched her go, resigned but slightly impressed. She had achieved something no alien could have anticipated, a harmony born from mayhem. And from that day forward, Space Station Harmony would never forget the day it turned into the galaxy's first interspecies dance club, all thanks to a human, a quantum-powered sound system, and a phrase that would echo through galactic security protocols for years to come. What's the worst that could happen? The galactic aftermath. Word of the Harmony dance incident spread quickly throughout the galaxy, stirring reactions from council members, dignitaries, and military leaders. Space Station Harmony had not only become infamous but had also redefined interspecies relations in a single day of music-fueled chaos. High Commander Vextol, now fully aware of the profound effects of human creativity, or recklessness, depending on whom you asked, found himself at the center of a full-scale Galactic Security Council review. As he sat in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, Vextol found himself recounting the events, from the moment engineer Miranda Rodriguez had first uttered the cursed words, "What's the worst that could happen?" to the station-wide Macarena incident. Hundreds of dignitaries from species across the galaxy listened in stunned silence, some with tentacles and appendages raised in shock, others with expressions of confusion and intrigue. And by the time the cha-cha slide began, Vextol concluded, his voice weary. Station Harmony's power grid was harmonized with Earth dance frequencies, which, I am told, humans refer to as a party mode. Murmurs swept through the audience, and Ambassador Hrath, a towering creature with crystal-like skin from the planet Klyn, raised one of her shimmering limbs. "Commander Vextol, are you implying that the station's quantum reactor was entirely synchronized with Earth music?" Vextol nodded solemnly. "Indeed, it performed better than expected." The room burst into startled murmurs. For the Xylari, known for their rigorous technology standards, such an idea was unfathomable. For the Krell warriors, it was an insult to intergalactic protocol. But for some of the more curious species, like the feathered Venari and the amphibious Ploth, this revelation seemed both fascinating and mildly terrifying. Finally, Ambassador Jack Rodriguez, a tall, charismatic human representative, stood up, his expression torn between amusement and exasperation. "Honored council members," Jack began, looking at the crowd with a diplomatic smile, "let me assure you, as Earth's official representative, that humans don't normally use plasma reactors for parties." He glanced over at Vextol. "At least, not often." A few delegates exchanged nervous glances. "Then how?" Ambassador Sheleen, an Ulthari with insect-like features, demanded. "Do you explain the near-viral effect of human behavior on Space Station Harmony?" Jack cleared his throat. "Look, I'll be honest. Humans have this unique approach to challenges. We don't always stick to the standard methods. We, wing it sometimes." Vextol couldn't help but interject, his three eyes narrowing. "Ambassador Rodriguez, I believe winging it grossly understates the potential risks involved. In one day, your engineers improvised winging it destabilized protocol, reprogrammed the AI, and compromised station control, all in the name of entertainment." Jack tried to hide a grin. "Entertainment and innovation. Commander, human creativity just has a way of surprising you." The murmurs grew louder. Delegates from the strictest societies shuddered. A Vascari diplomat whispered nervously to a colleague, "They make quantum particles dance?" The review concluded with an emergency vote, establishing what would be known as the Human Innovation Protocol. New guidelines stipulated that humans would need advance clearance before proposing creative solutions on intergalactic facilities. Additional provisions included a restriction on Earth-inspired dance music and an official ban on the phrase "what's the worst that could happen." But while most council members voted in favor, a few representatives abstained, intrigued by the energy and adaptability humans had shown. In their view, humanity's unique approach had stirred a spirit of camaraderie they hadn't witnessed before. This unexpected outcome led a handful of species to actively seek humans as consultants, hoping to add a touch of ingenuity to their projects under close supervision. Of course. Back on Space Station Harmony, Miranda Rodriguez was given the choice of returning to Earth or working in a strictly monitored capacity. She opted to stay, viewing the incident as a new feather in her cap and a way to spread the fun. Days after the review, High Commander Vextol found Miranda back in the engineering bay, tinkering with another piece of equipment. This time, she was creating a specialized cooling system using parts from an old espresso machine. He cautiously approached her. "Miranda," he said, his voice careful, "I trust you understand the new restrictions." Miranda looked up, grinning as she wiped grease off her hands. "Oh, don't worry, Commander, I'll run everything by you first." She hesitated, then added, "But I have to admit, that Macarena was a hit. Who knew the whole station would come together like that?" Vextol sighed, his tentacles drooping slightly, though he allowed himself the faintest hint of a smile. "For reasons I will never understand." "You may be right." Miranda's grin widened. "So, does that mean the station will allow Earth's next great invention? I was thinking of introducing karaoke night." Vextol's eyes widened in alarm. "Absolutely not." Miranda shrugged. "Can't blame a human for trying. After all, what's the worst that could happen?" The commander groaned, turning away as Miranda's laughter echoed through the engineering bay. followed by the quiet hum of another one of her improvised projects. And so, Space Station Harmony continued its mission as a beacon of intergalactic collaboration, forever changed by a human engineer's peculiar brand of problem solving, and a reminder to every alien on board that while humans might create chaos, they also brought a unity no one could have predicted.